Welcome to everybody. Thanks for showing up live. I'm really excited about today's session. We've got Brent Weaver from E2M, but a lot of you guys know him from his coaching background. He's had successful agencies. He was one of the top coaches, or is one of the top coaches in the agency game. And now he's the CEO of E2M, which is just an amazing company on the white label side, can do all kinds of services for you in a white label fashion, but they've got a heavy emphasis on AI. I think they're on the cutting edge of what you want to do within your agency to leverage AI at its fullest, from like operationally to operations delivery, even on the sales and marketing side. So I'm super pumped. Brent, thanks so much for making the time to come and share with the group.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate the intro, and it's great to be here. I can go ahead and share screen and just get into it if you want.
Yeah, man, let's get right into it. And for the sake of, we can't do a round of applause, but drop a hashtag into comments as our virtual round of applause, bringing Brent on to the stage. All right, I got lots of hashtags. We're ready to hit the ground running.
Awesome. Good to see you. I got Joe Allery in the house today. Pam, I'm seeing some familiar folks that I know. Yeah. I love the question of where are you on a 1 to 10 on the AI scale? I think I'm going to do a little mix of content today. Some of it will be tactical, kind of hands-on things that we're doing at E2M for AI. But I think the biggest value that I can provide is how we're building an AI culture at our company. I think as I talk to agencies out there, one of the challenges that they've experienced, and maybe people here have had this challenge, is that the owner is like a big AI champion, but maybe the whole team doesn't feel the excitement for AI that the owner does. Now, I think there are some very AI forward teams, but sometimes we have team members that have resistance. They think AI is going to take their job or the work that they're doing, or that they're not happy with the output. And they're like, it's not really doing what I wanted to do. Obviously, at our company, we've got over 300 team members. We've seen in every kind of way possible. I'm probably like on that 1 to 10 scale on AI, like adoption myself. I don't think I'm a 9 or a 10 personally. I do pretty well, but I think the thing that I'm doing great at E2M is trying to establish that culture of AI adoption across a very large company. Also, how I'm trying to get our clients and the industry as a whole to adopt AI so that we can continue to move forward and we don't get left in the dust. Hopefully today I'll be able to inspire you, challenge you, show you some really cool stuff that we're doing with AI. And we're really we're 100% committed to this AI first future for agencies. As Josh said, we're a white label agency. That means we're behind the scenes. Our business depends 100% on your success as digital agencies. If you guys aren't out there selling projects, finding clients and all that kind of stuff, like E2M doesn't exist. And I've talked to a lot of agencies that are like, hey, I think AI is going to destroy my agency. And we're like, no, we don't want that, right? Because if you guys aren't successful in 3 years and 5 years and 10 years, then E2M obviously won't exist in its current form. That's why we're investing so hard as a company in both our own capabilities as AI. You'll also notice here I'm using this VASTA brand. We have an event we just put on in September for AI for agencies called VASTA. We're going to be putting on that event again in Austin, Texas in May. And really, it's just our thesis is if we can prepare you all for the AI future, you will be more successful. Therefore, E2M will be more successful. So this presentation is really built for that end. I'd love to understand a little bit, though, of what kind of agencies we have with us today. If you could just put in chat, and I'll do my best to follow along. Are you like a web agency, a marketing agency? Are you guys doing PR and social? I know Seven Figure has mostly marketing focused agencies that are doing SEO and PPC and lead generation. So we got WordPress, cool. SEO, PPC, marketing, sales, coaching. Oh, cool. Awesome, Nate. Web dev, SEO, PPC, meta ad, lead gen funnels, website marketing, everything. All right, Braden, love it. That full service to its finest. Marketing, website design, SEO, PPC, SEO, digital marketing, lead gen. Amazing. All right. You all are I feel very at home with this audience. That's really cool. All right. Quick. I was going to use raise hands, but who here is using AI on a daily basis as an AI assistant? Like you're using Chat GPT, you have it open all the time on your desktop or your phone. Every day you're using daily. Cool. I live in it. Yes, just upload me, please. Yep, got it. Okay, what about automating some part of your agency's operations? What percentage of folks are using AI to automate part of your operations? How about using it to deliver your work? So AI is some part of your recipe for delivering work to clients, meaning maybe it's doing the analysis on SEO, it's creating the design, it's creating the copy. Okay, seeing some yeses there. All right. Yep, cool. I love that there's another Brent here, just Brent to Brent. That's awesome. All right, one more thing. How about selling AI as a service? You have a standalone service that is primarily AI as a service. So like you're doing AI consulting, you're building AI systems for your clients, AI marketing automations, like you're building something that you're going to hand to the client that is AI driven, that you'll walk away and they'll still have that thing. So some chatbots, AI receptions, AI receptionist, got it, building AI systems. Perfect. Okay, cool. So that gives me a good vibe for where we're at with things. Who here would like to sell AI as a service? Any folks would like to sell AI, have AI involved more? Yep, seeing. Cool. So this is definitely a big part of, we see the future in digital, like when social came out, when the web came out, like print agencies were all of a sudden, like, what's the web? People were asking them, can you build me a website? Then social came out, then mobile apps came out, YouTube and video came out, AI came out, right? We definitely see AI as like its own category, but just like web and video and social, it also has some overlays into lots of other different categories around agency stuff. But we definitely are starting to see agencies bring bespoke services, and we'll talk about that a little bit today. So my talk's going to cover kind of three main sections. We're going to talk about some high-level AI stuff, high-level concept in terms of AI culture. Second, we'll talk about setting AI culture at our agency E2M. And then third, I'll show you guys some case studies of how we're saving thousands of hours a month in our business and how some of that's impacting our clients. Pretty excited about this. If you all don't know who I am, I'm currently the CEO of E2M. As Josh mentioned, E2M is a white label partner for digital agencies. We're a plug and play team. We offer services across digital marketing, website design and development, e-commerce solutions, and now AI consulting. So if you're a WordPress agency, you could easily outsource work to our team. We have over 120 WordPress and web developers. If you're a digital marketing agency, you can outsource SEO and PPC to us. And we do that all under the agency's brand. So some of you already know who E2M is. I've also been in this industry for well over 25 years. I've had multiple seven-figure agencies and exited. Maybe some of you know me from UGurus. We were a coaching and training company, very similar to 7FA. That business has now been acquired by DigitalOcean and dissolved by DigitalOcean. About 4 years ago, I co-founded a company called Unlimited WP. It was a white label digital agency. They were acquired by E2M last year. At E2M, we support over 400 agency partners. I'm going to show you some case studies today, but it's worth mentioning that some of our best case studies, I can't share it with you because we're a white label. I can't even talk about who our clients are. So that's one of the challenges we have as a white label company, is we have to keep our clients confidential. We have to keep their clients ultra confidential. As I share with you some examples, these are just a little bit of a taste of what we've been doing at E2M. As I mentioned, we're a team of over 300 specialists across web, marketing, and AI. So let's talk a little bit high level concept. I'm sure some of you are computer nerds like myself, but there's this thing called Moore's Law. It simply states that computers double in power every 18 months. All we really need to take from that is the amount of transistors on a processor doubles, right? It has an exponential growth curve. And we're starting to experience some of the crazy benefits of this growth curve right now in our society. AI is an example of that, right? To have the type of compute power that we have is because of Moore's Law, right? If we go back 50 years, it would take a computer the size of a room to do even rudimentary mathematics, whereas these days my cell phone can do more complicated computing than the supercomputers 20, 30 years ago. Moore's Law, actually, there's a couple of different exponential curves that are happening right now. Compute is one of them. Storage is one of them. The amount of storage you can fit on a chip has been doubling. The cost of storage has been halving every year to 18 months. There's another Moore's Law that's happening, which is the number of nodes connected to the internet. Like when I learned of this, I was like, there's no way I'm going to have 50 computers at my house. Guess what's happened over the last couple of years, right? We have Internet of Things. At my house, I have a dozen different cameras. I have light bulbs, right? Who knew that every one of my light bulbs is going to be connected to the internet? So we're seeing these kind of exponential curves that are happening in society. And one of them is also happening with AI. Sam Altman says that AI models are doubling every 6 months. So a lot of the Moore's Law exponential curves have been happening every 18 months or 2 years or 1 year. And the amount of power from the main language models for AI have been doubling in power for every 6 months. So I always tell people, if AI isn't doing what you want today, just wait 6 months and take another look, because literally the amount of capability is doubling every 6 months, which is really incredible. If you feel like some people, I saw in the chat earlier, right? We had this, are you on a 1 to 10 scale? A lot of people that are like at 1s and 2s in their AI adoption might feel like the train has left the station or the boat has left the dock. Oh my gosh, there's all these people that are so far ahead of me with AI. And I want to be one of the people that tell you, like, we are still in the early days. This is the 1998, 99 of the internet, right? I don't even think we're even close to the 2000s and the bubble bursting. I think people are seeing real enterprise value with AI. It's accelerating extraordinarily fast. And there's a lot of other market factors that are happening at the same time. Yes, it's moving very fast, but businesses don't typically move very fast. The average small business owner right now in the United States is using AI probably as an assistant and not much more than that. There's massive ERP systems. There's massive amount of technological debt that exists in all sorts of small businesses. You and your clients are definitely not left behind. There's plenty of opportunity to still get on the boat. And it's really about where we're headed, which we'll talk a little bit about in today's presentation. Businesses leveraging AI report 50% higher productivity and 2 times faster growth compared to companies that don't. There's some people in the audience today that have probably gone all in on AI. And probably one of the reasons they've done that is because they're seeing some results. They're seeing their clients respond to the work they're doing. They're seeing efficiency gains, and they're continuing to invest, right? That doesn't mean that these results happen for everybody. There's some kind of alarming stats out there. One was that MIT did a study and they found that 70% of AI efforts saw little to no impact. That's not a great stat for AI. Gartner said that they predict 85% of AI projects will eventually fail. That's an incredibly negative statistic about investing in AI. Nearly 75% of corporate AI initiatives fail to deliver on their promise. That's from Fortune. At least 30% of generative AI projects will be abandoned by the end of this year. That one's from Gartner. CIO Dive says 42% of AI initiatives are scrapped and never make it into production. Has anybody here invested in an AI project? Maybe you've messed around with something for a while thinking this is going to solve your problems. Maybe it gets 80 or 90% of the way there, but not to 100%, and then had to abandon that. Yeah, right here, Leo says. Yeah. I know I personally have. There's been several things that I'm like, oh, AI can do that. And then I get into it. It gets really complicated. It's not giving me the output that I want. And ultimately, I abandon it, which begs the question, with such a high failure rate, why invest in AI? I'll get a little bit high level here and then we'll get eye level. If you're somebody who invests, you might have heard this phrase of asymmetrical risk. And this is one of the main things that I'd love for you to take from today's session, is that investing in AI for your agency right now has an incredible asymmetrical risk. There's very low downside. If you or your team spends 5 or 10 or 20 hours per week working on AI automations and workflows, your downside is really just a little bit less billable work, maybe a little bit less utilization. Maybe you spend a few $1,000s a month on salary that you're not going to recoup, right? The downside is actually very low. The upside is it's asymmetrical. And I want to give you an example of this. Imagine you're somebody who writes proposals for your business every single week. Every week you spend 4 to 8 hours writing proposals. You look at briefs, you write discovery docs, you come up with pitch presentations, right? If you created an agent that took over that workflow, it might actually take you 100 hours. Proposals are actually relatively difficult to create consistently without a lot of human oversight with AI. But let's imagine you spend 1,000 hours building a proposal generator. And you might think, gosh, that would be a huge investment of my time and money. But I want to pose a question of, what if you never had to write a proposal ever again in your life? Would that upside not be asymmetrical? What if you had a sales team of 5 people and they all never had to write a proposal ever again in their life? And what if that agent could actually write better proposals than you or your team? So not only are you saving the time, but the outcome could actually be exponentially bigger because you might be able to land deals that you wouldn't otherwise have been able to land. And that's the asymmetrical upside. Yes, you might have to burn a few $1,000s a month. You might have to spend like 10, 20 hours a week. It might feel like you're not actually making any progress on it. But again, that is relatively low downside. 10, 20 hours a week. Maybe you spend 3, 5K, 10K a month on an employee who just works on this one problem. But then once you solve that problem, it's solved forever. And that's really the unlock that is AI, is that once we get something that can deliver a result in production 97, 98, 99% of the time, it can actually deliver that result like in a split second. The cost of producing that result is literally an API call. It's pennies for each additional request, whereas paying a high-paid salesperson to go create another proposal, every proposal they create is thousands of dollars and tons of time, right? So that's just one example of this idea of asymmetrical upside. So I really want that to just be like one of my takeaways today is like you should be pursuing asymmetrical upside with AI projects in your business. I've seen a lot of agencies abandon AI initiatives and AI by itself because they get to 80 or 90% on something and they just lose the stomach to continue investing. They're just burning lots of time, but they're not really bringing things to production. So to help you understand, like what I'm a big fan of, the only way we're going to get you to like your goal is first we need to figure out where you are today. So we want you to be an AI first agency. We believe every agency is going to be required to be an AI first agency over the next 3, 5, and 10 years. But let's figure out where people are at. My colleague Khushbu Doshi, I think she presented something similar to you guys maybe a few months ago, but I'd love to just
awesome.
check back in.
It was great.
On this.
She did fantastic.
Yeah, so like these 4 stages, we love to help people understand where they're at today because it's going to help you get to that next step to the next step, right? So we have AI first agencies, we have AI enabled agencies, AI curious agencies, and AI aspiring. AI first agencies are fully integrated. They've fully integrated AI across all of their business functions: marketing, sales, strategy, customer onboarding, customer success, delivery, finance, admin. Like when we look at the horizontal of your business, you've got AI is built into every single function. We could almost take your accountability chart as a company and build a similar AI accountability chart that shows like all of your functions with the AI tooling that you've mapped to those different areas. Doesn't mean your business runs 100% on AI. It just means all of your core team members and all of your core functions have kind of an AI enhancement with them. An AI-enabled agency has moderate AI adoption. They have some selective areas. Maybe they're using a lot of ChatGPT. Maybe they've got some Notion AI for internal documentation. The agency owner is aware of AI's potential, but they definitely are struggling to get the team to adopt it. It's not really core to every part of the business, but they've got some cool magic tricks with AI that they're doing in these pockets of the company. AI curious agencies have very limited or no AI integration. So they're consuming content about AI. They're watching videos, maybe they're reading books, maybe they're using chat personally, but really the agency, it's not a business strategy yet. They're curious, but we haven't actually integrated anything in the business. And then we have AI aspiring agencies, and this is, you have it as an idea, you're in pre-contemplation, but you haven't actually applied it to your business in any way whatsoever. Maybe you're using AI in your personal life to get recipes or stuff like that, but it's not actually having any kind of business impact. So you've got those 4 personas: AI first, AI enabled, AI curious, and AI aspiring. Curious, enabled, a lot of enabled. You're doing a good job, Josh, getting people to adopt AI. I know this has been a big theme at 7FA, so this is great. So lots of enabled. And I want to tell you right now, I've given this talk to the Bureau of Digital. We've had our own AI event. I've given a similar talk in a different agency mastermind community. So I'm going to share a tool with you guys. I know you like tools, so let's take a small step in AI adoption together. This is a tool we use with one of the services we offer here at E2M is we do fractional AI services for agencies. Now, the first thing that agencies always ask us to do before we start working on things for their clients is have us help fix the stuff going on in their agencies. I'm going to share this. I believe the sharing permissions are open. Let me just verify that real quick. They are not quite yet open. So let me just make sure I don't share a link with you that is not usable. All right, I'll put this into chat. And this is a tool that I would suggest any agency owner sit down. I would also suggest that you give this to your team and have them sit down and do a basic task unpack. This actually has nothing to do with AI in a way. It's really just getting clear on where does your time go as a human in this business? What are the tasks that you're doing on a daily basis? Back when I was coaching, I pretty much used the exact same exercise with people when we would build out their SOPs and their processes. If I were to prioritize or help you understand an AI adoption model, think of a pyramid. And at the bottom of that pyramid is your data. It's the clarity of the information that you have in your business, right? Do you have organized data? The second layer of that is process. Do we actually have processes that say if you do A, B, and C, then D happens, right? Do we have processes and frameworks that create outcomes? And then on top of that, we can layer on AI. So first, we need to get clear on the data. What the heck is my team doing? What the heck am I doing? Where is my time going? If you wanted to take this to the next level, I'd even recommend if you kept a time diary, like a detailed time diary of your day, of your week, like for at least 2 weeks or so. You don't need to do it like forever, but if you did a detailed time diary for 2 weeks, everybody in your team did that, you guys came together, what you would see is basically you'd have all of your tasks and you'd see where your time's getting eaten up. What we want to do with a worksheet like this is there's some instructions on here, how you would define this. But let's say you had a task, like every week I write a WBR, right? A weekly business review. I look at the data from my QuickBooks file. I look at data from my sales team, from my customer success team. We look at cross-sell, resell. We look at our billable hours as an agency. E2M does over 18,000 billable hours every single month. So every single week, we're looking at those metrics. Like, are we having breakage or loss where we're losing hours that are going to errors and bugs and things like that, right? So we're looking at all those numbers and then we're writing an analysis of what happened, what was the attribution of that. I probably spend, on a good week, I spend 4 hours writing my WBR. And I do that weekly. I do that 4.3 times per month. So I basically spend about 17 hours per month on this, right? And 4 hours is a good chunk of time. And I would say out of that 4 hours, probably 30 minutes is analysis and 3.5 hours is just getting the data, right? Organizing the information, right? Books, invoices, cross-sell, resell data, billing and hours usage, those types of things, right? I have data. That's the most important thing. I have a process that I go through. Weekly, I'm doing this weekly business review. And then where AI can sit on top of that is AI is actually pretty good at analyzing data if it has really good, clean data, if it has a lot of data, so it can apply a context to that. So just giving an AI model like my revenue for this week, as an example, doesn't really tell AI very much at all. If I anonymize that data and I give that data to AI where it shows all of my customers, their spend by week over the last 3 years, then AI can actually tell me some really interesting stuff, right? So part of this process is just going through our business, unpacking. Somebody, Dan Martell, recommends this too. It's extraordinarily enlightening. And some of the takeaways you'll have from doing this exercise have nothing to do with AI. But once you are clear on where your time's going, where your team's time's going, we can then look at the processes that we go through to do those activities. And once we're clear on those, we can bring AI in as this like magician level layer on top of that. One of the biggest challenges that we have going into agencies and helping them with AI is they're not clear. They have really bad data. They have no processes. And then they're like, hey, I want AI. And we're like, it's really hard for us to work with that kind of a scenario. Whereas if we go in and somebody has organized data, they're really crisp on their processes, then we can do some really cool magic. So that's a little bit of a tactical tool that you guys can use to get this process started, no matter where you are in the process. Now, I think as a company, like we're not 100% AI first. We have some people that are 9s and 10s on the AI spectrum. And we certainly have people at E2M with 320 people that are not quite there. They're AI enabled or they're AI curious. And so my job is really to help build a culture. And that culture really starts with me. And this isn't just a giant picture of me. I'm hanging out watching Khushbu give a talk, I think at the Agency Advantage Summit. But in the background, I want to bring your attention to this vertical screen? What if I just had a dedicated chat assistant, right? So I've got this vertical screen next to my computer, and it's got chat on it all the time. Sometimes it has Claude and some other tools, but it's got the big long chat window there, and it's just present for me all day, every day, which means that every task, as I'm just going through my workday, I'm always reminded like, oh, maybe I should use AI for this. And I'm a very like visual person. And so if I put something in like a favorites, or if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. If it's a tool in a folder, like Asana or Basecamp or ClickUp or all that kind of stuff, like I'll use it hot and heavy for a month, but I fade away and I'll start writing things back on to-do lists instead of putting them in ClickUp, right? I'm just a very visual person. If you guys are like me, then I'd recommend putting something like this in place where you just have chat up all the time. Another thing you'll notice in this picture is I use a teleprompter. I record a lot of videos for social media, and that's an area that I have a lot of resistance around. It takes me a long time to record videos because I have to come up with an idea. I have to write a script. A teleprompter does help with that, but I have to write a script. Will AI change that? I can dictate an idea for 30 seconds. I can put it in chat. It writes a script for me. I throw that on my teleprompter. I record the video. I hand the video to my socials team, and they go off and create that. So a process that used to take me 2 or 3 or 4 hours to create one social media video, now I've basically got that dialed down to 5 minutes or less. I'll show you a quick example of this. I had an event that we were promoting for, and I wanted to create a video for that. And so I had the idea. I dictated the script into chat. I threw the script on my teleprompter. It was one take to record the video. I handed it off to my team, and they were able to create that video in very quickly. So here, I'll give you a quick example.
Oh, I saw this video. It's really nicely done.
AI first white label agency and growth partner for digital agencies. Every quarter, we bring our entire team to our Omnibot office for a first Saturday, a full day dedicated to building AI initiatives and projects in small, high-energy squads. We've launched Get Unstuck, a 2-day AI conference in India that is truly raising the bar for innovation in the region and positioning E2M as a talent magnet for the best and the brightest. And this September in Denver, we're hosting Vistara, a 2-day gathering of over 100 AI-serious digital agencies with world 100%. I've done that 1,000 times. Could I record that without AI writing my script? Yes, I've done that 1,000 times. But I always have to ask myself as a leader, what would this look like if it were easy? And that's the process, right? I dictate it into chat. 30 seconds later, I have a script. I throw that on my teleprompter. I hit record. I do one take. I hand that to my team, and then I'm done. And it's an Elgato teleprompter. They're like $100. The streamer industry has totally revolutionized all the lighting and the cameras from all these nerdy video game players. So the Elgato teleprompter is what I personally use. It literally sits on my desk. When I'm ready to record a video, I just lower my monitor. I just literally push my monitor down. I put this on top of it. I plug it in. I record the video. I take this off of my camera, and then I'm done and I move on. So for me, with creating content, that's helped me improve my personal workflow. Take something that takes 4 hours, and then I just lean on AI and it's done. Now I still have to dictate. I still have to have the message, the content, the core content still coming from me. I'm just using AI to speed up that process. One of the challenges we had in India was we weren't attracting enough talent around AI. There are people in this world that are AI resistors, and there are people that are AI evangelists. I'll tell you firsthand, you can try to go to the resistors and sell them the religion of AI. It is very difficult, right? It's an uphill battle. There are some people that it's very much worth it to put in the energy and the cycles to convince them that you should be using AI. There's a lot of people, though, that it'd just be better to get somebody in that role that's just an AI forward person, right? So we were having a hard time attracting talent. So we ran this 2-day event in India, all about AI. It put us in the map for AI in India. It sold out faster than I've ever seen an event sold out. Literally within 3 days, we had over 200 people registered for this event in India. And we've now been able to replicate this a couple of times. We just did similar to this. We did an open interview session with our office in Ahmedabad, India. We had over 1,000 people apply for jobs at E2M because of Get Unstuck. We had over 300 people come into our office for in-person interviews on one day. One thing I want you all to know is the industry, your market, is hungry for AI right now. And if you guys go out there as a market leader in your local geographic region and you use it as a foot in the door, you can get amazing buzz around AI topics right now. We also noticed that there's this conflict between billable work and non-billable R&D. We all face it as agency owners, where our team during the week, we're like, do client work, do billable work. And simultaneously, we were saying, hey, go invest time in AI. And the client work always won, right? We were always prioritizing our clients' deadlines over our R&D. And so we just said, look, what if one day a month we have the whole team come in and we work on AI on Saturdays? So we'll pay the team to come in one Saturday a month. We'll bring food. We'll make sure that there's some education into professional development. And then we'll spend most that day like working in squads and actually building stuff. So we've come up with a list of, I think the team has, from just our first few sprints, like we have a spreadsheet that has like hundreds of AI ideas of how we can save time and deliver better client results, just all of these briefs. And so we review those as a leadership team. We pick the best ideas, and then we pay our team to come in overtime. We say, look, the industry is being disrupted right now. AI is not optional. Like we all have to come in and work a little harder, like for the next couple of years so that we don't get left in the dust. And you can't just go to your team and say, hey, hopefully you work on AI at some point. I think what we found at E2M is you need to set a standard and you need to figure it out. You can't just say, oh, client work always gets in the way. We said, look, we think it's important enough to come in one Saturday a month. And that investment from our team and from the business has helped out a ton. Another thing that we've done is we've run an industry conference. I mentioned this earlier. It's called VASTA. It's an AI agency event. We believe that agencies generally aren't moving fast enough with AI. So it's a 2-day event. Our first one was in late September in the US. We sold it out in less than a month. We had world-class speakers, 100. Josh knows, to get 120 people in a room that you've never done an event before, it is hard. I have been doing events for over 10 years. And the fact that we sold this event out in less than a month, here's the hack for you guys. You all are niche down. I know it, right? I know Josh preaches the niche thing like nobody else. If you're serving plumbers, electricians, home repair, landscapers, whatever, like they all want to figure out how to use AI. Take the Vistara model as a framework to your niche, and you will be able to get 100 plumbers, 100 electrician, 100 home services businesses. You will be able to get them to your city to come talk about AI in a room. I promise you, they're all freaking out that AI is going to eat their lunch. And if you can go into your niche and be that AI leader, like I promise you, you're going to see traction for those folks. We had Jonathan Mast there speaking. I don't know if you guys have seen him from Whitebeard Strategies. Amazing dude. We had tons of great attendees. We had high level there. We were able to get, never in my life has it been easier to sell sponsorships than when we were doing an event around AI. It was so easy. We maxed out the room. We maxed out all of our sponsorship sales. It was a first time event. And yes, we had an amazing team, but the thread was we were talking about AI. And that's something that I think all of you could be leaders in your niche by taking that framework into your market. So let's talk real quick about what makes, I see a question here from Howard. How would you use AI to validate and systematize a service offer early before scaling and avoiding founder burnout? There's some cool stuff, Howard, you can do with like building an avatar or an ICP with AI, and you can use that for early customer validation. I don't think AI is making the entrepreneurial game any easier. If anything, I think it's making it more competitive and more complicated because you have a lot more people coming into this space. So I think there's some tactical things that you can certainly use AI for, but I do believe there's still a lot of entrepreneurial voodoo that you need to just go out there and explore, spend time with customers, listen, etc. An AI first agency looks like 3 main pillars: operational efficiency, service delivery, and AI culture. Operational efficiency, we have assistants, we have automations, we're leveraging AI for superpowers. Service delivery, we're doing things with more efficiency with our billable services. We're creating talent augmentation. So maybe you're a dev shop and you're not good at design. You can use AI to do the design stuff. There's some magic, right? So like unlimited tasks. You can have AI for a competitive analysis for a client. I might have previously gone out and looked at 2 or 3 competitors and done a deep dive analysis. With AI, you could actually do 1,000 competitors, right? There's really no limit. So the operational efficiency, first of all, everybody here should be investing with every team member to make sure that they have at least one assistant level tool, whether that's chat, whether that's Cursor, whether that's Lovable, whatever the marketing tools are within your playbook. Make sure that your team is enabled with assistants that can help them speed up their work. That might be using chat to read emails. That could be a transcription tool, right? Just look at their workload and go, okay, where can we have an assistant come in? And yeah, Whisper Flow, game changer. I use Mac Whisper for like transcriptions, and I have that hooked up to some API calls, right? So look at automations, right? Where does repetitive tasks happen? Superpower, stuff that wasn't possible before AI, right? We have a RAG-based agent where our team can go talk to our company playbook as a chat tool, right? And that's a cool searchable, like you can have a conversation, like a voice chat with our SOP, right? And they can learn from our SOPs from a chatbot. And that's something that really wasn't possible pre-AI, right? We go service delivery, right? So how are you using AI to deliver better services to your clients? That might be delivering services faster with fewer errors. You might be pairing AI with humans to multiply impact. So again, what does that talent augmentation look like? For example, when you're taking a website design and you're turning a Figma file into a WordPress site, we're using a tool right now that can take a Figma file and do the front end code onto an Elementor WordPress website in a matter of seconds. And so for any of our agency partners that we're doing website design on, specifically for Figma to Elementor, we've seen a really huge efficiency gain there. And then we can utilize those unused hours towards other more complex business objective-oriented features. Brandon, I will follow up with you on that. It's a specific tool, and I will get the Elementor tool for you. So I'm the guy that they tell, hey, we have this tool and it's saving us tons of time building this stuff out, right? And then our team, our developers are the ones that are actually using that day to day. So Brandon, I've got that on here. I'll get back to Josh on that and he'll make sure that gets out with our links and stuff.
That'd be awesome.
This is an area that I think is a huge blind spot for most agencies, which is the AI culture that you have in your company. Like, how many of you, raise of hands, are doing monthly or some kind of regular AI training as a company to your whole team? Who here is doing at least once a month? You're taking the whole team to a 2-hour training on Zoom or in person, like, or bringing in speakers, right? So you could bring somebody in to do that. One of the things we've done for all of our AI clients at E2M is we're just doing this for them. We're bringing in AI speakers, AI attorneys, AI strategists, and we're just doing monthly training open to all of our clients and their teams. And so that's been something that's been a lot of fun to do. But whether you do it with something like E2M or your own, the key thing is you got to make an investment here. You've got to say, look, we might not be able to take on as many clients as we'd like to, or maybe we might need to spend some of our profit here to make time for this training and enablement. Having an innovation flywheel. Like I don't believe anything happens in a business unless somebody is clear that they're accountable for it. So if you're the only person that's staying up at night sweating about AI, guess what? You're the only one accountable for AI. And I personally love to see that accountability dispersed among a team. Like, I think I'm going to go much further by having a team own specific objectives around AI than me personally, Brent, owning all the objectives for AI in the business, right? So having dedicated AI champions in the business, and they don't need to own AI. That's a big thing, right? That's like saying somebody owns making money. Like, everybody in the business has some functional ownership over how we make money, right? So you got to take that big picture thing and break it down, whether you use rocks or measurables or OKRs, right? You've got to be able to give some of that AI ownership at a very specific level. Hey, you're accountable for how we're going to use AI to decrease our time to onboard new clients. Or, hey, you're accountable for using AI to decrease the amount of time it takes to develop a client. A last thing I'll mention on this is compliance and SOPs. If you guys don't have a written SOP AI policy at your agency, that means everybody's just making up their own AI policy. That means you might have team members that are taking your client's data and just uploading it to the hive mind, right? Email addresses, credit card numbers. Like, I've seen people that are doing like phone sales and they've got a transcription tool that's recording those calls, and they do credit card closes over the phone. And they take the credit card detail, and then they've got the AI transcription tool that's analyzing it. You just uploaded your client's credit card details into a model that you may or may not be sure is training on the overall data. So you have no idea if you have these kind of leaks happening. Make a document that says, hey, this is our AI policy. This is how we approve of new AI applications. This is how we handle client data. If you guys aren't doing this stuff, there's certainly lots of exposure here for how you're handling data processing and PII. So that's a recap of that AI first agency. I think if you're AI first, you're firing on all cylinders with these 3 pillars. If you're like, man, this is overwhelming, there's so many things here, take a screenshot of this, pick one thing that you're going to work on for the next 3 months. Pick assistance, pick compliance and SOPs, right? Whatever your biggest bleeding neck problem is, spend your time there. I'll show you this model. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but if you want to be somebody that's an AI solutions partner, that means you're going to market and you're selling AI stuff. You need 3 things. You need to have an offer, you need to have some positioning around it, and you need to be able to deliver it. So when we think about an offer, something you're going to sell to your clients, we need to have a general model or philosophy behind that offer, an outcome that it's going to do. We need to have a process that's going to actually deliver that outcome. And then we're going to have a package, a thing to sell, right? I know you guys love your packages. I love packages. So like we got to have a model or philosophy. We have to have a process, how we're going to deliver that A to Z, and we got to have a thing to sell. Then we go into positioning. How are you pricing this? What does your ideal customer profile look like? What does your go-to-market look like? So I'll give you a quick example just from the E2M side. And again, this is just to inspire you, not as a, okay, go buy stuff from E2M today. So we positioned AI as a fractional thing because we're a white label agency. We have a foot in the door offer for $1,200. So you could do this with your clients. A foot in the door AI assessment for $3,000, $5,000, where you're going to go into their business and figure out how AI can help. There has to be a price for how you engage with an AI solution strategy. And then you have to have a way to deliver that, right? So this is if you wanted to take AI and go sell bespoke AI solutions for your marketing. This is something that is very early days. There's not a lot of agencies that are crushing it yet. I would say, man, it feels a lot like early social media days where people were like, I know I need social media, but they weren't yet prepared to pay an agency $40,000 a month to manage their meta ads. And so we're at the very early days here. There's a handful of agencies that are out there selling AI solutions to clients for 5 and 6 figures, but there's a lot of people that are still trying to figure this out. But this is at least a framework to kind of help to set the stage for that. Josh, before I go to the next slide, how am I doing on time? Are we still
I think
good?
that you're doing great. I mean, like the only constraint on time would be your time.
Cool. All right. So we'll hang out and drink from the fire hose a little bit. This is just my favorite GIF of all time. So I try to get it into every presentation that I give. I want to show you some case studies, things that we've built with AI, that we've leveraged for AI, just a couple of use cases, right? So flow mastery, this is one of the challenges that we had. And you actually all might be in a similar situation with case studies, results that you've gotten for clients, is that we're getting all these results all the time. And they're just like flowing, like the team would mention them in passing. And we didn't have a central place to house like all of our results that we were getting for clients on AI. And so that was kind of the problem statement. We just needed a place to organize our AI problems. And we also wanted to make that easy to use for our clients. And we also wanted that to be able to be ingested to speed up onboarding and application of micro applications and things like this. So we built a micro application to house the database, and it easily loads snapshots and templates for a new client project, saving precious onboarding time. So I'll just show you real quick what Flow Mastery looks like. So this is like our internal, basically our internal database of problem statements around AI workflows. Our team uses this every day. All of our clients are using this ongoing in their onboarding. And so we just have a workflow name. We have a category of what we're using that for, a problem statement, a solution statement. We have documentation that our team, it links to how to get this result for the next client that wants this thing. And then we also show kind of some high-level design of the actual automation itself. So if I were to go down here and let's say show you this AI-powered marketing performance analytics, I'm able to go in here and click on design, and this is going to show me the high level, like what this, if I were to load this automation into the next client's project, this just shows me like what I'm working with. What is, question there from Michael, what is your website? Our website is e2msolutions.com. So what I'm showing you right now is an internal tool we only make available for our team and our AI clients, right? But this tool, this database essentially, was coded in a couple of days. And then we've been able to build these kind of automations on the back end. So this was something that we were managing with spreadsheets before. A client would say, oh, hey, I want an app to do this. And we'd have a line in a spreadsheet that says, here's the problem statement, here's the solution, but there was no actions that the team could take. And so our team can actually go in here with their admin access. And let's say you want this Asana task assigner meeting recap generator. They have some extra buttons in here. They can click that. They can assign that to a client, and it just automatically puts that automation into their N8N account, which is pretty snazzy, right? So that was something that was taking time with every single client that we onboarded. This was just one of our scratching our own itch. Hey, we had this problem, organize our case studies easily internally, make it so clients can see those and turn that into a beautiful application. Here's a client. This is an app that we have done the MVP for a roofing company. So sure there's some roofing people in here, roofing clients, landscaping clients, things like that, right? Like their clients are probably very visual. And so they wanted to be able to create a photo of a house and show different roofs on it. This would typically be a pretty complicated thing to code without AI assistance. I'll just share with you guys a quick little video. I'll talk over this a little bit, but basically you've got this kind of roofing tool. We can upload a photo. We can put in the address of that. It's going to validate that. It's going to then, you'll be able to view that photo. It's going to do some AI magic there. I'll forward this. So now we're starting to put some new roofs on top of that photo. We've got another style of roof here, another style of roof, right? And now we get all 4 of these roofs. We can then select this design. We can then move this into show what it looks like today, what it looks like maybe with this other option. We can then press use this design. We can do some customizations. We can then email that to the clients. So this is an example, right? Email a mood board to the client. I imagine as this starts to evolve, it could turn into a proposal generator. It could turn into lots of different possibilities of what this might do in the future. Question, how much would you charge a roofer for that product? We're a white label team. So you guys know your clients probably way better than I do. If I were an agency and I had us build this, I might think of this across all of my clients. And so I might think, okay, I have this tool that I've built. It can do custom mood boards for roof design. It turns those into a proposal. I could almost see a future CRM, like subscription type thing coming on the back end of this. But if I was just doing this on a onesie, twosie, it could be a 10K thing. It could be a 20K thing for sure. Because imagine their current sales process. They might not be able to visualize this type of stuff with their clients. This could be a really nifty tool. If you're talking about a roofing company that's got 25 or 30 trucks, I think the value goes up exponentially, obviously, based on how big their business is. I think if you're talking about like a dude with a truck, getting them to pay $10,000 for a roofing mood board tool might be a hard pill to swallow unless it's a really big bleeding neck problem for them. But I think for a bigger outfit, they'd be certainly willing to pay 5 figures just to get access to a tool like this. And that kind of comes back to that AI solutions provider slide I presented on, which is figuring out your pricing model. AI solutions are lining up really well with traditional website projects where you have a big upfront build, and then there's some kind of maintenance and management ongoing, right? You might be able to charge a subscription fee from day one, like a retainer to build the thing, but we're seeing a lot of these might require a big upfront investment, 40, 50K, 100K, and then you've got $2,000 a month to maintain an application like this for your client, depending on how much they're using it. And this is another tool. It's an RFP analyzer. This agency needed a faster way to screen lengthy RFP documents. I don't know if you have anybody here that does RFPs. I don't know how you all feel about RFPs. That stands for requests for proposal. But in my first agency, RFPs were like the worst. I'd have to go and read these lengthy documents to figure out whether we wanted to bid on them or not. We don't do proposals. Nobody reads them, right? Like, Jeremy, I think if you're working with like large organizations or the federal government or state governments, like I don't know whether they read the proposals or not, but they certainly require them. And the quality of your proposal does have a strong indicator of success on whether you get the deal or not. But if you're talking about small businesses, I'm definitely a fan of really simple, like one-page proposals. But this is a pretty cool tool. So this goes into Bid Direct. This is a public bid system. So these are our tenders that are constantly being published by the state of Colorado. So we can go in here, we can look at bids, and I think Bid Direct works with some other states as well. So we can go in here, we can look at bids that are in here, but this is a browser widget that we built. And so basically there's no API for this RFP database. So we built a browser widget. This basically allows the agency to go in here and they can check public involvement. And that just means a way for them to subcontract with somebody else with this business. So then we go and we research This says, okay, we found somebody that has public involvement. That just means that you can piggyback with another contractor on this project, and we found that contractor for you, and we've queued that up. We also will do an analysis on this RFP on behalf of the agency based on the criteria that they have taught us about. And so if we go in to look at like let me just show you the results here real quick. I'll go forward. So it ultimately creates this AI generated summary of the entire RFP, and it gives them some suggestions on their role in the RFP. It also tells them like, hey, this is something that fits your overall criteria, all that kind of stuff. So it's crazy. Like I've gone after RFPs before and I stopped because I'm like, I don't have the time. I don't have somebody to sit and review this stuff all the time. So I would say they were spending 5 to 8 hours per RFP. Some of these documents, I kid you not, are 50 to 200 pages. Like it is pure and utter brain damage that you only have a 3 to 4% chance of ever winning. And there's no API because they don't want people scraping all that data and all that kind of stuff. So we built this. It went from having to review this for an hour or 2 hours down to literally 30 seconds. 30 seconds per RFP. Boom. We find the public involvement. We find the other people that are potentially looking at this. We give contact information and they can go out there. They can find those other companies to potentially subcontract for. If the state of Colorado was doing a smoking cessation campaign, they maybe want to engage a marketing company for that campaign, but then that marketing company might sub out the PR work, the social media work, the web build work. They might sub out those 4 or 5 things. So that's what it means by public involvement. Can you find that other company that can do that? Cool. Let's go to the next one. AI-powered CMS app. So if you guys are managing content for your clients on an ongoing basis, we've done some really crazy stuff with AI-powered content management. Let me show you real quick here. This demo, always love doing this stuff live. So this has like a dashboard managing clients, client management and assignments, some action items, some meetings, some N8N workflows. So this is basically us managing our N8N workflows behind the scenes. You can see all this is blurred out because this is all E2M clients that we're doing AI execution for. But we can manage all of our clients from this dashboard. It says how many tickets or tasks we're working on for those clients every single month, what those action items are, the meetings that we're meeting with our clients, workflows that we've implemented. So if you're an agency and you have 100 or 200 clients, and you want to layer on your own tech on top of that, and ClickUp and Asana aren't meeting all of your needs, then AI is giving us an opportunity to build some really cool stuff without having to make that investment. Let me show, oh, I love this one. All right, I'm gonna show 2 more. So this is an ads chatbot. I wanna show you real quick the flow mastery for this, and I'll explain it, and then we'll go into it a little bit more. So you all probably, who here writes some kind of report on a weekly basis for like SEO or lead generation, or you got to go into Google Analytics and you've got to read a bunch of GA reports to see like what's traffic doing, how many visitors do we have, how many conversions do we have? What we did was we basically said, okay, this analysis takes a lot of time. It's really mundane. The actual insights part is like the last step of the whole thing. The gathering of the data, the building of the reports, the setting the time, this date to this date, et cetera. Those things are very time consuming. So we built this kind of RAG agentic workflow. We have a chatbot on top of it. And then basically it accesses Google Analytics with some very defined things around, let me zoom in here. There's a reporting agent, a user traffic agent, a revenue agent, an e-commerce agent, and an item performance agent. This is for kind of an e-commerce store as an example. So I'll show you this. It's just loaded within the E2M site. Let me refresh this. There we go. So it's just a chat bot. It's going to probably look like one of the most unsexy things ever, but this is interfacing with our Google Analytics data behind the scenes. How is the PPC landing page campaign performed in June? So it's a very natural language question that we're sending to the chatbot. It's then taking that in the context of our campaign database, our actual traffic database, right? So in this case, it says the E2M PPC landing page paused during June 2025 and recorded no activity. There were 0 impressions, 0 clicks, 0 conversions, 0 costs for that month. Give me portfolio performance for the past 90 days. Again, these are natural language questions that your account manager or your client could even type into your chatbot. they could get real-time performance feedback, right? This is something that you could put onto their phone in a web browser, and your client could be like, hey, tell me how I'm doing for my SEO, right? And you could, as an agency, predefine how you want to answer that question and give the client real-time data from their SEO performance, whether that's SEMrush, SEO Moz, whether that's through Google Analytics, right? So actually giving you those reports. You could take this as far as giving a natural language command like email my client their monthly traffic report. So you could, again, use a chat command and it could go pull all that data from Google Analytics and it could send that to your client without you ever having to open up Google Analytics whatsoever. It's got your branding on there. It's got all of the data and traffic from there. Some of these commands do take a smidge of time, but you can see here. So it's giving me campaign highlights, top campaign highlights. The E2M brand campaign was XYZ. Would this need to be a separate bot for each client? I think the answer to that question right now, Jeremy, would be yes. I think we could make that like available to your clients within one URL. So they would each have, as long as the software knows which client it is, it could route the N8N automations and backend stuff accordingly. The reason I would say it would need to be different for each of your clients is you might have some clients that you are okay talking about certain types of metrics with. You might have other clients where you say there is no way they're going to understand what CPA and CAC and LTV and CPC and all that kind of stuff are. And so you might actually have some operational SOPs for each client to give them a very specific report. Larry, yes, is 100% the answer. We do a ton of N8N stuff. We do micro apps. All right, I love this one. Last one that I'll show, and then I will open up for some questions, is our Razor Copy app. This is super cool. I'll show just a little bit of this. So this is, let me go back to our problem statement. Clients want high quality copy, SEO performing blog posts for less costs. At E2M, we write hundreds of beautifully manicured SEO content for various expertise blogs every single month. And a big thing that people want is they don't want it to come from AI or sound like AI. Really, they just want to make sure that it performs well in SEO and it's not going to be penalized later for being AI. And so that's actually a really hard task. You certainly can't really do it in front end tools like Chat and Claude very effectively. And so we built our own backend application
to our
content. I'll have Kevin
template.
walk us through this.
We're going to add new article. And for the sake of this example, we are going to write the article, The Rise of GEO Content, Understanding Its Impact on SEO. So from here, we're going to add our primary keyword, which is going to be AI in SEO. We're going to choose our article type. It's going to be a how-to article. And then we're going to create the article. All right. And then we've got our article here. Going to click on this. Okay. Now, what is going on here is the AI is taking the business information as well as the focus keyword and generating secondary keywords based on that. It has also generated this article outline here. We've got our outline here, and for the sake of time, let's say we're happy with this. We're going to hit save. And then from here, we're going to go to generate article. And what the AI is doing, it is taking our business information, the keyword information, and the outline article that we approved, and it is generating the first draft. And this usually takes 10 to 20 seconds. All right, so we've got our first draft here that is generated using the outline and the keyword information we provided. Now, this is where the human writer comes in, because if you've written AI content before, even with a great prompt, it only gets you about 50 to maybe 60% of the way there. So what the writer is going to do, they're going to comb through this piece, add relevant data points, relevant points of view, just anything to really take that content from a B level to an A level. So the writer can either update the post manually, or they can go in and use our nifty AI assistant here. They can select a piece of the text and go to the Razor Copy AI and give it any direction they want. For example, I can say, add 30 words to this content with...
I'm going to fast forward this real quick in the importance of time, and I'm going to find the EEAT analysis piece. So
bar.
we'll just watch this
And
part
I'm going to
close
go
out.
to start analysis. And again, this takes 15 to 20 seconds. All right. So this EEAT score, which we use the Gemini API for, it does a really good job with that. And see, it gave me a score of 78 out of 100. Not terrible, but I'm not loving it. Generally, when we write an article, we aim to get that EEAT score to 85 and above. So we'll go through all of the core aspects of EEAT. And based on its analysis of the post, it's going to give me areas to improve with a handful of recommendations. So what I can do from here, I can I can add this manually, or I can go into my implement all suggestions. So if I click on this, it takes, again, maybe 15 to 20 seconds to generate. It's going to pull up a whole list of suggestions on how I can level up the EEAT of this post.
All right. I'm going to pause there. The takeaway here for this one is we had this problem, like content got obliterated with AI initially. And that obviously affected our content team in a big way. But simultaneously, clients needed to do more to get SEO results for their clients. And so we just looked at that problem statement internally and we're like, clients want to pay, they want higher quality content. They want to pay less for it. We're having a harder and harder time selling that. So how do we give them what they want? How do we give them what they need? So we had to build some internal tooling to stay relevant and to be able to deliver that to our clients. So instead of spending 4 or 5 or 6 hours writing up a high authority 3 or 4 or 5,000 word blog post, we're able to generate that at the same level a human writer would do, same performance or better performance of the business at a fraction of that cost. So our team is spending on average about an hour to an hour 15 writing a high quality SEO performance based blog. And sometimes we're able to recoup some of that savings with fixed price pricing with our clients. And a lot of times we're just passing on that value direct to our agency partners. My general philosophy is that, like, in the age of AI, we have to try to give as much of the savings and the value to our clients because clients are very fragile these days. They will go to a cheaper alternative in a heartbeat, right? Because they're able to get that same value someplace else for less. So we've been very aggressive trying to deliver that value to our clients. All right. That's all of my demos. I'll close with just a quick personal note here. I recently raced this thing called the Leadville 100 mountain bike event. I'm a big mountain biker. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I'm not saying this to brag at all. It was a lot of fun, but it was also completely and utterly miserable. But when I think about the AI journey, this picture says it better than anything else that I've ever been able to communicate. So on Leadville 100, there's this stretch of hill called Powerline. As you can see behind me, there's power lines. Literally, it's just this stretch of mountain. It's about 3 miles long. One thing you'll notice in this picture is there's a whole bunch of bikers not doing what? Nobody's riding their bike. We're all walking uphill. Everybody is tired. These are like professional level cyclists and they're all walking uphill. And it's how AI feels right now to me, is that none of it is really that easy. It's all really hard. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort, but the outcomes are pretty rewarding. And so if you feel like you're being left behind, like, I promise you, you're not. Everybody's just, we're all inching up the hill, like 1 step at a time, 6 inches at a time. Nobody's really going that fast. Like, maybe there are some people that are 30 or 40 or 100 feet ahead, but they're still inching 1 foot at a time. It might seem like they're moving really fast, but I promise you, there's a lot of opportunity for every agency. One of the key things you got to do is you got to just start investing in AI in your business. It's something that we're very passionate about here at E2M. We're building an AI first future for digital agencies. If you're interested in learning more about what we're up to at E2M, you can check out our website at e2msolutions.com. If you want to come to our event, you can check us out at joinvistara.com. If you want to just connect on AI stuff in general, you can always feel free to reach out to me on email, just Brent at e2msolutions.com. Happy to take some questions, Josh, if your folks
Brent, this has been great. Thanks for sharing. I love the fact that it's like, this is a constantly evolving thing, what's happening with AI, and you've taken very specific examples and case studies, like, how can you implement this? What are some ways you can leverage it? And let's face it, a lot of times as agency owners, we can ask who, or we can ask how. And a lot of us are asking, how do we do this? How do we figure this out? But we don't have the experience. We don't have the expertise. We don't have the time. And so one of the best shortcuts that most successful people do is they find someone who's already on the cutting edge, who's got those resources. I think E2M and the team is it's a great who that you can shortcut this, get the fractional AI support, and really accelerate your ability to implement these ideas and strategies. With that said, awesome work, Brent. Any questions? Anybody like, man, I've got a burning question while Brent's still on here that I want to ask before we wrap up? All right. I think maybe you smashed them while we were going.
I saw one. What was the chatbot ads analysis tool called again? Braden. These are custom agentic workflows, but basically it's a custom micro app that our team builds on top of an end-to-end backend workflow. It's like doing the automation, it's doing the steps, accessing like chat, using chat as a RAG or Claude as a RAG with databases like Google Analytics, Notion, Airtable, ClickUp, et cetera, right? We can access all these different tools, and then we build an agentic workflow, and then we put a chat interface on top of that. And so it's very much a custom solution. Something that we found is like every agency does client reporting a little bit differently. So we've just never found, like, there's no SaaS that we've found out there that's doing it really well, like where you can just sign up, click up, and everybody uses the same thing. We found that each agency has their own way of doing it. And so we build that custom backend and automation, and then we just put a chat layer on top of that you or your account managers can interface with. We call it the AI-powered marketing performance analytics chatbot. If you're interested in this, or at least seeing how it works, happy to connect with you, Braden, whether that's something you build with E2M or somebody else. Right now, that's a custom solution. I'll throw my email in chat there for you.
Hey, Brent, also Jeremy just asked like the point on question, which is, so we can hire your team to help build stuff for our agencies. Like, where would someone go specifically if you want to pull up that website? They're like, hey, I want to learn how I can work with E2M on this.
Yeah, I would say if you're at all curious, happy to, all of our pricing and like how we work with clients, it's all on our website. There's no surprises, or like, at least there's no strategy call where you're going to get on with us and that's the only time you'll see pricing. If you go to our website, you can see our fractional AI offering on there. We start every client with an assessment. It's a discovery and blueprint. We spend about a month with you. That task list that I shared with you, that's one tool that they use in that process. We do team member interviews where we'll actually go talk to your team about their processes, what they're doing with service delivery. And then we have this big library of inspiration and work we've done with other agencies. So we have a pretty good grip of the tooling and the capabilities. A lot of times agencies will come in and say, I need to use AI for lead generation, but really they don't have any proven lead generation processes, but they might have some really great stuff on service delivery or sales that we can take their existing process and give them a really great ROI by building some AI magic around that. So we start everybody with an AI assessment, discovery, and blueprint. After that month, we are currently on a little bit of a wait list for AI right now. It's a little bit popular. But then after that assessment, we go into basically either a half-time team member working with your agency, so they might work with one other agency partner on an execution level, or a full-time AI strategist just working dedicated with your team. So it's a fractional or a full-time. We have some agencies that have 2 or 3 full-time team members that are just building automations and systems for their agency, but also for their clients. I'd say right now, 80% of our team's work is on working on the agency themselves. There's a huge opportunity with digital agencies because your business is digital. You have access to all these tools that have APIs. There's spreadsheets with data, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of upside potential just with your business to get efficiencies, grow capacity, help you do things that were impossible 3 years ago. We're spending about 20% of our time actually starting to build AI solutions for the end client. That roofing example that I showed, that's an example of that, right? Where we're actually building a solution that the agency is going to resell to their clients. And we've seen that increase from about, in March of this year, 3% of our workload was AI solutions oriented, where the agencies were selling that to their clients. And now it's about 20%. And I'd love to see a situation where it's more like 70-30, like 70% of our work is actually doing end revenue generation for agency partners and 30% is working on their business. But agencies are still wrapping their heads around this. They still want to see how AI is going to work for their business. They're not yet ready to put that on their clients yet. You guys help with marketing/sales of an AI-powered SaaS product. We could certainly look at your systems and the automations around that, Larry. We would not be like a marketing firm or a sales team for that. But I'd say that's a gray area, Larry. We might be able to add some value there. We might say, hey, there's some stuff that's outside of our zone of genius. And that's one thing at E2M. We're pretty quick to tell people where we play really well and where it's outside of our scope of expertise. 100%. Thank you, Larry.
Awesome. I think we got all the questions. Brent, this was fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing. Thanks for being a great agency provider partner here at the Seven Figure Agency. And I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Be sure to reach out to Brent if you want some help with this. He's open to answering questions and letting you pick his brain. Any last words before we close up?
Yes, I would be remiss. My team would be upset with me if I didn't share one thing I was showing you guys, this flow mastery. We have a spreadsheet version of all these problem statements. If you want that, we do have that as a little gated opt-in.
Drop it in.
I'll throw that in the chat. If you don't feel like opting in, just send me over email. Happy to email it to you as well. But if you want it instantly, just throw your email in there. You'll get those 80 AI use cases ready to implement in your business.
Thanks everyone for participating. Thank you for your engagement. And we'll see you on a future session. Awesome work, Brent. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, everybody.